If you want to handle a breakup like a champ, this is what to do. I'm Amy and welcome to my channel. Here we discuss spirituality and psychology so that you can manifest your dream relationship. And in this video, I'm going to discuss how secure individuals deal with a breakup. So if it is that you're in the throes of a breakup right now, maybe you're in no contact and you're really suffering, use this as an opportunity for your own growth and use it as a catalyst so that you can start to release that stuff that's just not serving you anymore, so you can move towards more secure and be ready for a secure relationship. So let's talk about it. So the first thing that a secure person does is they don't tell themselves painful stories about a breakup. When a breakup happens, and if it's an anxious attached person, they will start telling themselves stories about being abandoned, about how they're not good enough, about how unworthy they are, or that they're going to be on their own forever. So not only do they experience the sting of a breakup, they actually create suffering around the breakup with the stories that they are telling about themselves. Now, secure people do not do this. And the reason is because they grew up in households where they had all their needs met and they developed a really good sense of themselves. So they haven't overly identified with the relationship. I'm not saying that they haven't identified at all, but there is less of an identity wrapped up in that other person. And what they're not going to do is they're not going to tell themselves these self-depreciating stories that are really going to knock their self-esteem. So what do they do instead? They will feel their feelings about the breakup. They will come into acceptance really, really quickly. And the reason for this is because they are confident at navigating and processing their own feelings. Now, if we move towards the more avoidant side of the spectrum, these individuals tend to suppress their feelings, sometimes for a really, really long time, because they don't want to feel the feelings of abandonment. They don't want to think that they were unworthy of the relationship. So what they'll do is they'll suppress, but this can only happen for a specific amount of time before they are forced to look at their feelings. So they will eventually start to miss the person, and they've sort of delayed the process because they're not really in touch with how they feel and they can't process properly. So the second thing a secure person will do is ask for help and support. So if it is that you know somebody who's secure, you will know that this person has a really, really good close group of friends, and they can have relationships with family that are really, really beneficial and nurturing to them. So essentially, they're having their needs met in several different avenues. Whereas other attachment styles like anxious attached or fearful avoidant leaning anxious attached, they hyper focus on one person to meet all of their needs. So they have this void within them of unmet needs, which a secure person wouldn't necessarily have, because they are well versed in knowing exactly what they need and how to meet it and how to give it to themselves. Whereas other insecure attachment styles might not have that, which causes them to hyperfixate on their ex because they still subconsciously believe that this person's the person who is going to meet their needs. So what to do instead then is to identify exactly what the needs your ex-partner was meeting for you and score it out of 10 as to how much they were meeting them. And then I want you to ask yourself, how can I get this need met in other areas of my life? And write it down. And then the third thing is, how can I meet this need in relationship to myself? So I want you to really start getting used to asking yourself and checking in with yourself how you feel and what you need right now to feel better, and go ahead and give that to yourself. The third thing is, a secure person is a lot less likely to maintain contact with an ex-partner, especially if the relationship ended badly. They are comfortable in no contact, and partly the reason for this is because they know how to get their needs met elsewhere, and also they are good at moving on from relationships. So what they will do is they will learn from the experience. So they will think to themselves, okay, were there any red flags that I might have missed? Are there any needs that came to the forefront that weren't being met for me, and how can I meet those myself? And they will learn from the experience, and then they will move on to a better relationship because they have processed it properly and they're not taking baggage from previous relationships into the new one. So essentially, they're going to give themselves space to process it through the body properly, to really regulate their own feelings and emotions so they can see clearly and move on to a better relationship, which other attachment styles don't necessarily do, and they're not necessarily good at that. And securely attached people are far, far less likely to fall into limerence for their ex-partner. So they don't imagine scenarios of their ex-partner coming back. They don't think about their ex-partner or have imaginary conversations with them with the hope of maintaining the connection. They are comfortable with losing connections and can come into acceptance about that really quite quickly. Whereas anxious attached partners are likely to fall into like a longing for that person because ultimately they either had or promised themselves that they would have their needs met through this relationship. So this is why it's so important to notice and identify exactly what your needs are in a relationship so you can start meeting that yourself and start to fill this imaginary void that you have, so that when you move on to your next relationship, you're not going to fall into these patterns again. You're going to trust yourself more. You're going to feel more comfortable setting boundaries and expressing what your needs are and getting used to meeting those needs yourself on a consistent basis. And then you'll start trusting yourself a lot more. You'll be able to vet future partners a lot more, and you're not going to fall into those same painful patterns over and over and over again. And if it is that you're leaning avoidant, learn how to actually access how you feel. Learn how to process how you feel. Learn how to identify the messages that are within the feelings that you have so that you can start identifying, okay, this is what I need right now. I'm going to go ahead and do that in a healthy way so that I can start to process this, learn about myself, and use this opportunity for my own growth. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you need any help, drop a comment below and I will see you in the next video.